Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Death Note, Episode 1, Rebirth. Death Note is a anime that I've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. But I never got the chance to because I was gonna watch it last year and rewatch it last year and talk about it, but I ran out of time. I wanted to talk about it around the Halloween month and everything. I'm gonna talk only about the first episode and then I'll do a rundown review much later, either if not later towards the end of this year, sometime next year, because I want to rewatch the entire thing, because I only watched this once in its entirety. But I want to get my memory refreshed and stuff like that. And not to go into too much detail how I got into this, but I got into this because of that live action American remake on Netflix. I think probably back in, what was it, 2016, 17, something like that. When I watched that live action remake, it was the first time I ever saw anything about Death Note. I just saw the trailer, oh, this is Final Destination. That should be cool. And then I watched it and I was just very confused. They had the Final Destination type stuff. They had the Shimigami type thing, which I didn't know what that was. But everything else just confused the snot rockets out of me. I didn't know what I was watching. And so I just particularly did not like it. So then I watched a couple of reviews and then I found out it was based on an anime. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. I wonder what the anime is like. And then one time I had Hulu and they had it on there. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. And I fell in love with this anime. There is something so unnerving, something so holy, something, or anti-holy, something so methodical about it that I find it so fascinating and stuff. Everything from the visuals to the dialogue and just what the plot is about. Now, I do feel like it does go on for a bit too long. My Blu-ray says it's 37 episodes. I remember it being longer than that, but hey, like I said, it's been a long time since I watched it. Because I literally watched it sometime after the Netflix thing came out. And so halfway into it, it does start to linger on a little too long. It starts to get a bit repetitive. It starts to slow down, get a bit confusing. And, but then towards the end, it picks back up. But like I said before, I'm not doing no rundown review, just the first episode. But, I have to give it up to the visuals. It's visually stunning and everything. I'm not the biggest anime fan. I watch a couple here and there, mostly back from the 90s and older and stuff. The first anime I might have watched, I really don't remember the very first one because I just didn't know what anime it was at that time, so I really don't know. But the first one to my true recollection is either Sailor Moon or Ronin Warriors. I don't know which one came out first on syndication. And so I watched Digimon, I watched the X-Men anime, not the one based off the anime series, but it's a standalone thing. I watched the Blade anime, I watched the Iron Man anime. I haven't done the Wolverine one yet. I watched a couple, I watched that, Black Widow and Punisher anime and stuff, so I'm not the hugest fan on it, but I watched a couple here and there. And this is probably one of the last animes I've ever watched, and it's just beautifully gothic. I can't talk gothic, stunning and everything. But anyways, so this show deals. Well, first it starts off with a very interesting camera movement of this other world. It's gray. It's dingy. It's depressing looking. You really feel the depression in this world and how gray it is and how muted it is and how there's really no color other than this rustic looking, bloody looking stuff. And you see these monsters playing around, but then you see this odd figure just sitting down by himself and dressed all in black with like kind of like a jokerish kind of face, spiky black hair, pale skin, and he's just sitting there. And so, at some point, the other Shinigami that's around him asks, hey, you want to play with us and stuff? He's like, no. And so, and it's just like, it's like, what is his deal and everything? Um, and his name, I believe, is Ryuk. And so, like, the thing about him is he's extremely bored, like bored out his mind and everything. And he reveals to them later on in the episode that, he has to go find his Death Note book because he dropped it somewhere. And they're all like, well, it shouldn't be that far of a walk because, every place in this world looks the same. And talking about how, like, the old man gave you 2 books already. I don't know who this old man is supposed to be. I gotta rewatch it again, like I said. And so, like, he's like, nah, I dropped it somewhere in the human world. And they're, like, shocked and stunned by that. And then we later find out why. Basically, the book is now tethered to, like, the real human world. And so humans can use it and stuff. And that's really bad. And the reason why is because, first, let's get into Light. Light is a character. I forget his last name. I can actually pronounce it, I think, but I just forgot what it is. And so he is at this like school. He's extremely intelligent. But he just like Ryuk is very, very bored and everything. Everything is the same with him, and he's tired of the routine. He wants something different. He wants a challenge, you know what I'm saying? And then one day when he's in class, he sees a book falling out the sky. It is the Death Note. And, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this now, because remember that movie I reviewed called Devil's Diary? It reminds me of Death Note. But I think Devil's Diary might have come out earlier before this. I'm not really sure. I have to look at the years and stuff. And so, like, he goes out there and he gets the book and he's fascinated by the title, but he just like drops it because he just like, whatever. But then we see later on, he picked it up again and he's contemplating in his head, why did he take the book? What could it mean and everything? So when he goes home, he reads it. It's the rules and everything. It states that whoever name you write in that book will die. And so as he's reading more, he's getting more fascinated and everything. He's reading and it says like, you have to have the picture of the person's face as you're writing their name down. That way, in case 2 people or more have the same name, it doesn't get confused, which can be very confusing, man. That's one thing about Devil's Diary. How in the world did it know the certain people that names they wrote down? Because several people have the same name. That's why a lot of celebrities have to use stage names and stuff. I think Michael J. Fox, that's not even his name. And so, like, then it says, if you write it and you don't elaborate on how the person dies, within 40 seconds, they die of a heart attack. And then something else that happens within 6 minutes, I forget. Actually, I don't know. I forget. Maybe if you elaborate within 6 minutes, that death will actually happen, but I'm not sure. And so he's kind of like, should I put somebody's name in it? Should I not? Like, he's contemplating. And it's kind of like, what would you do? Would you write somebody's name in there just to see would it work? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, he thinks to himself, well, he writes somebody's name in there, he's going to be a murderer, won't he? So he's not really sure. So in a way, he's watching the news. And some guy held up a school hostage. The students, the teachers. He overhears the guy's name. There's a picture of him. So he writes the guy's name in there. And he counting down, waiting for those 40 seconds to pass. And about 45 seconds pass, nothing happens. So he's like, this is dumb. Until it's revealed that the dude died. And they're not quite sure how. He is shocked and amazed by this. But he's not sure if was it done by his hand? Or was it just circumstances and everything? So he wants to test it out again. just to make sure. But he's not sure because it will make him a murderer. But who would he do it on? He's contemplating people in his classroom, people he can't stand. And now he's starting to waver judge, jury, and executioner. He's all like, the world would be better off without this one student in my school. Like, who would care? You know what I'm saying? And that's a bad way to think. So then he's out and about at a convenience store, a gas station. A woman is being harassed by a group of men. She's about to be assaulted and everything. She's able to break free and she runs off. And so he overhears the main guy's name. So when he's inside, we don't see him write the name down. But then all of a sudden, the dude gets hit by a car while he's on the motorcycle. His jaw drops and everything. He's like, holy crap, because he actually wrote that the dude gets hit by a car. He knows now that he has the power over death. And he cannot believe it. Well, at some point in time, Ryuk tells the other Shinigami that, he's headed to the real world and everything to get his book. So he introduces himself to Light in his room. Light is freaked out, falls backwards. Now, one thing I will say about the live action American reboot, when he saw Ryuk for the first time, he freaked out, panicked, screamed like a girl. I heard so many people in the comment sections in the trailer talking about, oh, the real Light will never react that way. Yes, he did. And everything. I don't understand some people. So anyway, he's telling me that I'm a Shinigami, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And Light, since he's so intelligent, he's all like, I kind of figured it was a Shinigami, and I had a feeling at some point you would like show up. And so this is taking Ryuk by surprise, but then they both realize they have something in common. They're both bored and everything. And Ryuk's telling him some more rules. It's all like, because Light wants to know some more stuff about the book. And so he tells him straight up, it's yours and everything. But I tell you this right here, right now. When you die, I'm going to write your name down in my book and everything. And also any human that uses this book for whatever reason, they cannot go to paradise or the underworld. So they're kind of going to be like, what? I guess like in a limbo state or non-existent in some type of abyss probably. But he uses the book anyway. And Ryuk is very shocked and surprised to see that he's been busy off screen. It's revealed that like after he killed the dude with the motorcycle, he was kind of like, holy crap, like, should I keep doing this? Should I not? Should I rid the world of all the criminals and everything? Like, he's going mad in the head. And it's kind of like, what would you do? Would you use this to get rid of your enemies, or would you get world peace by getting rid of all the criminals in the world? That is what he's starting to do. He is starting to eliminate criminals in the world, because he said he wants a utopia and everything where he will be God ruling over everything. He is literally driven mad by this book. And so, but he's worried. He's kind of like, if I start like, letting everybody die of a heart attack, eventually people will come after him or get some kind of pattern. But now he wants to be found out and everything. And so like, he has written literally 2 pages full of names. I don't know if it's front and back, but we just see 2 pages filled up. This is a very fascinating, disturbing show. And it's kind of like, can you blame them? Like, if you knew somebody was terrible, if you knew they was a criminal, and you had a book that could literally just eliminate somebody just by writing their name in there, would you? Chances are you probably would. But would that really solve, like, crime? Because there's always going to be a new criminal that pops up, but for the most part, all the bad people will be gone and everything. But he said literally when telling Ryuk this, he's all like, he will be judge, jury, and executioner on those that he feel is unfit. See, that's the problem right there. The power will go to your head. Who's to say who is unworthy of life or not? Who's to say one crime is worse than like another, you know? Who's to say a good person who you don't know did nothing wrong actually did something wrong? How do you know the person that's in jail isn't innocent and being framed? You see what I'm saying? That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.